Do you ever judge yourself when you feel like you don't have enough willpower to do something, or get other people kind of judging you because, you should just pull yourself up by your bootstraps? Then you may have a motivation problem, but not related to willpower. Hi, my friends, I'm Lena Anderson, and this is The Seated View. Today, we're talking about how RA can affect motivation. I'll share my own recent experience of having a realization about the connection, and I'll share some tips on how to kind of deal with it. This is part of the Talk Over RA event that takes place today and tomorrow. Thank you to AbbVie for making this possible and supporting us in creating the concept. Just so you know, they did not have any editorial role. All views, opinions, etc., and statements are my own. So let's turn it over to you before I start babbling onwards. Have you ever felt a connection between how RA is doing and how motivated you feel? Share it below so we can keep the conversation going. So, just so we're on the same page, let's talk about what is motivation. It's your get up and go, your determination, your drive, your interest in doing something. And it's involved in everything we do. Exercise, brushing your teeth, working, reading, writing, painting a picture or a wall, and making a call to your insurance company so you can take your meds. Even getting out of bed on a high pain day is related to motivation. And motivation to do these or any other task come from a variety of sources. You brush your teeth because you don't want cavities. You paint a wall because you're excited about what the change will do to your environment. You call your insurance company because you don't want to interrupt your medication, and so on. And I now also believe that motivation is directly related to the state of my rheumatoid arthritis, my physical health in general, but today we'll talk about the RA impact. So here's what happened. 18 years ago, I started taking a new medication for my RA, and for the first time in my 5 decades with this condition, I found remission, and it's worked since. But last year, I was notified that the program that funds my medication, because it's expensive, required me to switch to a similar but less expensive medication. And very quickly, it became obvious that it wasn't working. And the primary sign was that this other medication triggered my comorbidities, other conditions that I have alongside my RA. But it was more than that. I felt wrong. I felt heavy physically. Something wasn't right. Have you had that feeling too? That feeling of something is not right, something is wrong, but it's hard to put a finger on it? I'd love to hear your story. I made that connection with RA about 3 months into the whole process, and at that point I was trying the second similar but different medication, and it was messing with another comorbidity. So fun, yay. And I still remember the moment it all clicked. I was sitting at my bathroom sink, looking at my toothbrush, and having what by then was a nightly argument with myself about whether I should brush my teeth or wait until the next day. It wasn't the first time. This had been going on for a while, and it wasn't just about brushing my teeth. It was also writing articles, getting out of bed. Thankfully, I have an attendant who comes and helps me to get out of bed, so it's not just up to me. It's, if I send her away, I don't get out of bed, So but just everything, every task, going shopping, making a call to my doctor, like it all just seemed insurmountable. Every single task required a battle with myself to start the task or keep doing the task in the case of, say, an article. And I was tired to begin with. I was exhausted. But these constant battles just made me even more drained. And that's when I knew this was my RA coming back to life. Obviously, I'd felt like this for a while, but when you're in the middle of it, it can be hard to make that, like, take a step back and have it all click. And for me at this moment, I guess, I don't know what made me click at this particular time, but something did. Do you have those hard to define symptoms of your RA percolating again? It'd be great if you wouldn't mind sharing in comments if you feel comfortable, because somebody else out there might be in that whole, I feel wrong, but I don't know what it is, and kind of by seeing different symptoms might kind of go, oh wait, I should talk to my rheumatologist. Speaking of rheumatologists, one of the things that complicated this moment was that my old rheumatologist had retired, and I had a new one that I'd never seen before. My previous rheumatologist, I'd been seeing her for almost 25 years, and we knew each other well enough that if I came in and say something is wrong, I think my RA is not happy, she might like have a conversation with me about it, but she would trust my assessment. And there was nothing wrong with my new rheumatologist. She is highly skilled, but she doesn't know me well enough to know how well I know my body, if you know what I mean. So I met with my new rheumatologist about a month after that moment at the sink in the bathroom. And I told her that I was certain my RA was coming back. But my blood tests look fine. Maybe it's slightly elevated, but fine. And my joints look fine. So she kind of said, well, could it be your regular fatigue? Could it be your fibromyalgia? Because that complicates things too. Could it be anxiety, depression? And it was a reasonable argument to make, especially for someone who didn't know me. Because yes, my fibromyalgia was not happy. Yes, I was anxious about my symptoms. Yes, I was feeling depressed about having these symptoms and the whole switch from my regular medication. But something inside me told me it was more than that. I've had RA for 50 plus years, and I know that extra fatigue and that, especially coupled with that feeling of heaviness, are, for me, the first signs of my RA coming back. And now I know I can add motivation to that list. Well, lack of motivation. If you want to read more about my experience, check out the link to my blog post below. This is how I knew that it was related to my RA. When I feel well, my brain is alive. It has ideas, it makes connections really fast, it comes up with terrible jokes and puns, and I love the world. The only way I can describe it is by using the word nimble. The ability to jump from topic to topic really quickly, to generate ideas quickly, to be inspired. And also the somewhat deluded belief that I can do it all right now, immediately. In other words, motivation. And at the time I saw my new rheumatologist, which was about 6 months into this trying a new medication, I hadn't felt like that for 6 months. Because of my long career with RA, I know that my RA coming back has 4 steps, really 4 phases. Phase number 1 my fatigue increases, I feel heavy, and it's harder for me to do things. Second, I feel physically wrong, like I'm unwell, and I start feeling heavier. That moment with not having enough motivation to brush my teeth happened in between phase 1 and phase 2. And what then happens next in phase 3 is that I start getting more pain in my tendons and muscles. And then that leads into phase 4, when my joints start to hurt and swell. This experiment with switching medication taught me that I can add motivation to that list, probably starting in phase 1 and becoming noticeable in phase 2. Have you ever had trouble explaining something ephemeral and hard to define to your doctor? What happened? How did you did it not work? Did you have a conversation about it that helped you identify it? Or did you have to, just walk away? I've had those. I've had those moments where it's just, okay, I don't know how to explain this, and the person wasn't helping me to get there. But I've also had wonderful doctors who have helped me figure out what it is I'm feeling. And in fact, one of the people who has helped me identify what my body feels like when I need to, for instance, slow down, is my therapist. And if you want to know more about the role that therapy can play in helping you cope with RA, check out my Instagram live from earlier today. You can find it on Instagram, funny that, under the seated view. So let's talk about how to talk to your doctor and how to explain how this hard to define symptom could be your RA. And like I said, my situation was complicated by the fact that I had a brand new doctor, in a sense that brand new to me, she'd been a doctor for a while. I came to my rheumatologist a little bit ahead. She had been trained by my old doctor, working in the same hospital. I assumed they'd had a chat about the patients that were being transferred to her. So I got there a little bit ahead, possibly. But it takes time to get to know each other and to develop that trust, and to know when Lena says this, it means I should listen. And likewise for me to know that when my doctor says X, Y, Z, I should take a special notice. So, and it can be really difficult to explain and to have that conversation when you're brand new to each other. And this is where tools like the Talk Over RA discussion guide can help. You can use apps and they can record your symptoms and may even provide a report to your doctor. What I like about tools like this is the way it helps you, rather, to parse your symptoms, to think about your symptoms and think about how, very important, how they impact your life. Because sometimes what apps do, they may keep track of your symptoms, and they may show that your pain is a little bit up. But that exists in isolation, and because the missing factor there is how it impacts your life. Are you still doing okay even though your pain is up a little, say, or your fatigue is up a bit? You may still be functioning well because we learn to do that. Or are you starting to have trouble showing up at work? Are you having more sick days? Are you having trouble taking care of your kids or your dogs or whatever? Having that impact aspect, if you will, is really important. This can help you explain things. It can help you have a record of how you're doing at the time of an appointment and the next appointment and so on. And it helps you get your priorities front and center. Over time, my rheumatologist and I got to know each other better. and we have the beginnings of a great relationship. Luckily, I got approved for the medication that had kept me in remission for 18 years. And by the second dose, I felt like myself again. It was amazing, like this whole difference between feeling like not me and then, oh, here I am. My brain started having wild ideas again. I started feeling nimble again. I wanted to have a social life. Unfortunately, my body took a little bit longer to get there. And I'll talk more about how I build back tomorrow and noon. Same place, same bad channel, YouTube channel. But I'm getting there, and this is good. And also, like, I have that motivation again. My body can't quite cash the checks that my mind is writing, but we're getting there. Most importantly, I now have an extra tool to talk to my doctor. I know that when my motivation flags, something's going on. So that's it for me today. I'd love to hear your thoughts on motivation and figuring out those hard to define symptoms. Don't forget to check out the other advocates who are doing wonderful content today and tomorrow. And if you want to take a look at the schedule to see what's coming up and what you may have missed, you can also find that down below. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you tomorrow.